So this is part 2, where we are going to be talking about high trust marketing, but how do you do it in I guess I'll just say a more leveraged way, where you can be marketing to people who you don't necessarily know already, or in a way that you can be in front of them more often and not feel like you don't want to call the same person every day, but you can be in front of them on Facebook every day and it would have a different feel to it. So that's what we're talking about today, is more just like marketing. So I guess I want to start out with, when you're doing marketing, what the mindset should be, what the message is. And then I'll get into more specifics of what platform, but to just kind of start with a framework of what we're trying to do. I'm going to share with you something that I got through, I'm going to recommend 2 books here, and then I'll kind of give you the overview. But if you want to get into more detail, which I recommend, I would go ahead and get both of these books. And it's called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I don't know if any of you are familiar, and kind of a sister, like Donald Miller, I think, was a co-author in this book, or at least his company asked her to write it. A second book is Social Media Success for Every Brand by Claire Diaz Ortiz. Building a story brand is more just generally the message, and then social media success for every brand is more, how do you do that on social media? And Claire, who's the author, works for Twitter. So it does have a lot of like Twitter-ish leanings, where you can tell that she does work there. But it's still a lot of great, she definitely covers all the platforms and what to do on them, and gives you a marketing calendar, and it's a really great book. So I'll just throw that out there just to say this is only an hour-long class, and they're the experts more than I am. So I really would recommend looking into those. But to just give you an overview, I'm going to share my screen here. This is kind of the framework that StoryBrand talks about. It's every good story starts with your main character. They have a problem. This guy helps them out, or girl. So they run into somebody that can give them help. They work the plan, calls them to action, and then they get success and avoid failure. So the thing to keep in mind, and a thing that a lot of people get wrong, is who's the central character and who's the guide. Who's the hero and who's the guide? That's the important thing to keep in mind, is that we're not the hero. We're the guide. And if you think of it that way, it really changes your messaging. Sorry, I saw there's all kinds of, oh yeah, there we go. So if you think about that, and I'll post that graphic on Clarity Conversations. I think a lot of you are already members of that, but I'll post that graphic up there so that you can see it again. But if you think about the kinds of messagings that maybe you've seen, where clearly they are trying to be the hero, and realizing that you're not the hero, you're not the one having the successful outcome, you're not the one having the problem, you're the guide, you're the one that comes along with someone else and helps them with their problem and gives them a plan that ends in success. Don't forget about calling them to action. That's That's how we get them to buy, right? So what I recommend as we think about it that way is brainstorm the different problems that people have that need our services. I tend to think of this in stage of life. Obviously, the overarching problem is they need housing, right? That's really surface level. Think more about what is the need that they're having. When are people buying houses? When do you buy your first house? What's the problem you're having? Maybe you're sick of having roommates. You don't want to be a renter anymore. You want to build equity. You don't want to live with your parents. You're sick of depending on your parents. So that might be like first time home buyer type messaging. Those are, what are the different problems that somebody who's currently a renter having, and how do we guide them and fix that problem for them? Or, and then again, I start thinking about stages of life. Their needs change as they have a kid, or sometimes like the second kid is when you really start to feel the space pinch. You know, you're outgrowing your house. Or good problems, not all problems are bad. You got a promotion and you make a lot more money now. You want a bigger house. You want to be in a better school district. To just brainstorm step by step where somebody goes through life. You progress in your career, you start having kids, the kids start getting older, then they move out. So that brings a whole nother line of problems. Maybe your health starts failing, so you want to be something that's lower maintenance. What are the steps in somebody's life? So as we think about this story brand exercise, it's not a one size fits all. It's not like, this is my marketing plan. It's going to be something that's specific to people in different niches. Now, you might have a niche that you pursue more heavily, and so you're talking about that more frequently, and I think that's great. That's why niche marketing works, because you can really go after that one segment. Instead of saying, does anybody want to buy a house? Like, that doesn't resonate with anybody. Maybe if they have been looking, the word house will resonate with them, right? But if you're trying to make them realize that they have a problem that you could solve, that's not going to be something that causes somebody to go for action. Content is king. Always be thinking about how you can help rather than how you can sell. I think that's a really key point. So I'm going to say it again. Always be thinking about how you can help rather than how you can sell. People can smell that a mile away if your intentions are for you. And I'm not saying that it's bad for you to benefit. Of course, that is okay. But just don't be afraid of giving it away for free. I think some people think that, well, if I give it away for free, why are they even going to hire me? Because they'll trust you. That's why they'll hire you. So go ahead and give it away for free. If you want to say step by step how to sell your home, and you're thinking, well, maybe somebody's for sale by owner is going to read that, and then why would they hire me if I already told them how to do everything? Well, because one, they won't do it as well as you, because they've done it one time and you've done it 100. And they'll probably come to realize that, and they'll be further along in the process because they started doing the things that you were teaching them to do, and they'll realize that you were the expert. Never give it away. Never feel bad about giving it away for free. Like, I really feel like that's how we build rapport and trust. And will there be times where you give it away for free and so then they don't use you? Yeah, it will happen. And I think that's okay, because more often you'll get people that start to rely on you. So that's really central to the idea of high trust marketing, is always be leading with value. The other thing with messaging that we always want to be thinking about is that what we're trying to communicate is our character and our competence. Character, meaning you can trust me. Competence, I'm good at what I do. I'm a good person and I'm good at what I do. That's what we want them to know. So I'm always thinking about things through that lens, whether it's with my database or whether it's with people that don't know me yet. That's what we're trying to get done. So kind of to that end, before I really start diving into specific social media platforms, I do want to say that getting online reviews is a really good place to start with that. Because you can say all day long, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest. It comes so much better from somebody else. So I would definitely say start there. And how do you get them? Well, it's more than, you can't force somebody to give you a review, obviously. What you do is ask. And sometimes what people hesitate on in doing reviews is they don't know what to say exactly. They're not writers. And frankly, they have their own life to live. They know it would benefit you and they liked you and they want to do things that benefit you. Sometimes it's helpful to, dare I say, write it for them. I've had people like ask me to write it for them. Like they, I mean, obviously this is a conversation to have, right? Like don't just send them an email saying, hey, would you mind copying and pasting this onto Zillow or Google or LinkedIn or pick your place, Yelp. But if you've had a conversation with them, I do think a phone call will make the point, and you should be calling afterwards anyways. You know, call afterwards. How are things going? I hope you settled in okay. And undoubtedly, they're going to say, thank you so much. We love our new home. We had such a great experience. And if the conversation goes well, say, you know, what would really help me a lot is if you'd give me a review. And then you can send them the links. And if they say, we're happy to do that, but what should we say? Or maybe you even say that. If you struggle with what to say, I can help you write it. Whatever we can do to break down the barriers. But to ask is really key, and to follow up on that in a really kind way. When they're saying thank you, you did a great job for us, people naturally want to give back when you've done a great job. And they know it doesn't cost them anything for them to help you that way. So just to have that on your radar and be following up with them kindly, I think does a lot of do you think we should, I don't know what you mean exactly, Lee. Unpause a second or unmute. Tell me what you mean. Like recommend other agents? Or you mean like if they referred you or?
Yeah, the other agent in a transaction, I'll bet probably 80% of them last year sent me a little note. Hey, recommend me on Neighborhood or Zillow or Realtor.com. And there were a few that I did. Most of the time, I just thought, you know, golly, I don't know if I can do that. Do you recommend that we say each other was really great, even if they were okay?
Well, I would
I'm
never.
an A personality.
I would never overstate things. Like if I did not have a good transaction with them, I wouldn't be recommending them for sure. And it would probably be more powerful of an ask if they did it first.
Exactly. Yeah, I assumed that most of them that I got were from the assistant and not the agent, and I just thought, you know, that's just not very personable for them to ask me for a referral, a recommendation when I barely even spoke with you.
And honestly, Zillow isn't a big part of my marketing plan, so I haven't concentrated on getting Zillow reviews that much. Oh, Molly just posted a link on how to send review requests, and I have done some of that. But some people, Zillow is a huge part of their marketing plan, and so to have a certain number of people recommending them on Zillow, that's why they're asking, right? So I guess I would say, if you don't mind doing the same for me and boost your own numbers at the same time, I think that's fair. Oh, Kristen says she does a peer review. So I don't know. I guess that's up to you. If you feel like they did a good job, I don't think that it costs me anything to say something nice about another agent. But that's because I work by referral. And so I don't worry about that cold lead going with Joe Zillow over there. You know what I mean? Like, that probably wasn't my client anyways. So I don't know. I know a lot of these, and maybe I'll have at the end somebody that knows more about this than me, this peer review. I don't know anything about it. So if you don't mind, we'll get back to that. I'm going to write a note to myself, peer review. We'll get back to that at the end, because that's a really good question. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I would say I'm not afraid to do that. I don't think it's bad, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't think they did a good job. Because that puts your own reputation on the line at that point if you're not completely truthful. But maybe there's something you can say that is truthful.
Yeah. Yeah. How do I say, hey, their assistant was really great.
Right. Better to say nothing. What do they say? Better to say, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. I think that might apply there, but use them on your website. So I don't want to get too much in the weeds of this, of exactly where to do reviews. I think if you can get a concentration in a certain area, that's good. I've had, just by luck, I guess, several reviews on Yelp, and I have gotten some business from that, interestingly. But Google is another place that people look for reviews. Zillow is a place people look for reviews. LinkedIn, I think those are the majors. I know that there's more sophisticated ways to get them, and there's like services that will get them for you and maybe disperse them around. And that's, I know whenever I get a review, I like to then copy and paste it in other places that I can use it, right? Once you have that, you know, you take a screenshot and you put it on Instagram, which links to your Facebook, and you want everybody to know once you get a good review, if you can, without being obnoxious. But yeah, Rose says that she gives somebody just a survey at the end. And that's the time to be asking. You don't want to wait too long. You want to do it while people are still feeling those warm fuzzies. Yeah. Oh, okay. And then the company sometimes follows up with surveys. So I just wanted to get it on your radar. It is important, and it's a good way that people can get back. And it doesn't have to be somebody that you just did a transaction with. I think that's more probably powerful if they can say that. But it can be some of your business associates that can talk about your character and things that you like. It doesn't, especially like people that are new, right? Like, how do you get reviews and you're new? People might not know your competence yet in that area because you just started, but character reviews are always good too. You know, like they're really motivated and I know that they're out hustling and doing blah, blah, blah. Like those are the kinds of reviews you can get no matter how long you've been in it. So now to move on to different, some of the different platforms. I'm going to talk about Facebook last because I think, at least for right now, that's kind of our number one platform. They're the most established. But I say for right now because a lot of the younger kids, I don't know a better way to say that, aren't on Facebook. They don't like it. They're on Snapchat, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, but even Instagram is starting to fall off a little bit with the younger kids. But so we'll just kind of cover the majors and when you use them. But we have LinkedIn, and you're going to have a different way of talking on each of the platforms. So that's kind of why I'm taking a minute to talk about them individually. LinkedIn is for business to hang out. So you're probably not going to post a picture of your kids ever on LinkedIn, even though on Facebook you will be. You're going to be, that's part of building up that character piece, and them relating to you is them knowing things about your personal life. That's not appropriate on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a place for you to link articles and say congratulations on your 10-year anniversary, all that kind of stuff. So one thing that I'll mention about LinkedIn is, I don't know if any of you follow Gary V at all, Gary Vaynerchuk. And if you don't, I mean, his message is a lot different sometimes, and he's a little rough around the edges. I actually listened to his podcast where they where they censor him because I don't always love hearing that language all the time. The curse-free Gary V, but he does know a lot about social media. I get a lot of great ideas from him, so I do listen to his podcast quite a bit. I listen to, my number one podcasts are Brian Buffini podcast. That's the coaching company that I work with. So I listen to, that's my number one. Gary Vee is my number two. I really listen to a lot of his stuff, and his thing is crank content, and he lives by it. Like sometimes I want to unsubscribe to his podcast because it like overwhelms me. He's got so many that are constantly coming out, but it's he's really big right now. He said, as far as like organic reach, LinkedIn and TikTok are your number one places where you don't have to pay an arm and a leg to actually get in front of people. And the way that their algorithms, he said, the way that the algorithms are running on LinkedIn right now is really similar to what Facebook was at the beginning. So if you're not on LinkedIn, or if it's just your resume, I guess I'd encourage you to accelerate that a little bit. But before you do, spend some time on it. Look at what other people are posting and what gets reactions. And maybe if you want reviews on there, start by giving a bunch of reviews. People really appreciate that and they'll reciprocate it. It won't be one-to-one. But what have you lost except for a little bit of time? So LinkedIn is a good place to hang out. And TikTok, honestly, I see Julie Mannion says, my daughter says I need a TikTok. And it's true. The kid, like, that's how I first knew most about it, is I have a 14-year-old son. He's all about TikTok. And honestly, I don't have a lot of personal experience with that. I do have a friend that told me that it's like the Chinese spying on you through it, whatever. I don't know if that's true either. But Gary Vee gets really into it. I feel like maybe I'm a little old for it. I don't know. But maybe you're only as old as you think you are. It looks kind of fun. So right now I think TikTok is fun, but it's good to be in the ground floor, get established a little bit there. Because those 14-year-olds are going to be buying a house in 7 years, and that's a long time to wait. But in the meantime, you're getting to know the platform and you're staying current, right? So I don't think it's a bad place to hang out. And especially now that we've been in quarantine, it's not just for 14-year-olds anymore. I see a lot more TikTok with my peers. So, but the language with TikTok, and again, on any of these platforms, if you're going to start really posting content, I'd encourage you to first spend some time getting to know what other people are doing. But I think TikTok, that main thing is be funny, be fast and funny. It's just kind of a, yeah, exactly. Now, YouTube is also video driven, but it's a lot different. The YouTube algorithms, they reward you for being longer than 10 minutes. TikTok, you're going to be however long a song is at the most, right? You're going to be 1 to 3 minutes. YouTube, that's going to be your instructional type videos. My kids watch YouTube all day long. People that are playing video games, for crying out loud. So funny to me. I watch YouTube because I'm looking for, I don't know. I actually watch a lot of YouTube ads, or not ads, a lot of YouTube videos on, how to do Facebook ads and old Jim Rohn recordings and those kinds of things. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. So if you're going to do instructional type videos, maybe where you spend a little bit more time on something, that is a great place to post it. And there's a lot of things that you can do with YouTube as far as like having the next video be your video also. And oh, thanks. See, Megan can tell that I'm not on TikTok very much. You can only go up to 60 seconds anyway. YouTube is going to be more than 10 minutes. They can be shorter, but YouTube's algorithms push ones that are longer than that. I don't know if it's so that they can put ads in the middle. I wouldn't be surprised. But Twitter is another one that's short, fast. You get more characters than you used to get. The thing that I honestly used to be on Twitter a lot, and I basically ignore it now. Not that you should, but what's cool and powerful about Twitter is the hashtags, and you can follow conversations. So if you're going to lean into Twitter, spend some time on it and look at what hashtags people are following. And then use that hashtag when you are out there tweeting. There is a lot of really great creative things that you can do with Twitter. And I'll just give you an example of something that was pretty cool and powerful about Twitter that you can't necessarily do on other platforms. Like we were in, I think it was Charlottesville, Virginia one time, and there's a huge storm. So it wasn't where I knew anybody. Then a huge storm came. And a lot of the roads were shut down. Power lines were down all over the place, and we didn't know how to get out of there. And so I could get on Twitter and hashtag Charlottesville and ask people, hey, I don't even remember what highways go through there, is such and such open? Can I get through that way? And people responded to me. So that was really powerful to kind of reach into a community that way. So I think figuring, and again, if you want to read that book, she does go a lot more into Twitter on that. And there is a lot of cool things with Twitter that you can do. Instagram that's more photo driven. That's more visual. So if you have a cool picture, that's where you put it. I've been trying to do more with Instagram stories. I don't know, I go back and forth, but stories are kind of interesting. Because if people like it or want to comment on it, it goes directly to you. It's not visible to anybody else. So it lends itself much more to a conversation. Like I showed a HUD home the other day and posted a picture of it on my stories. And then you can put all these little stickers on it. Like, do you know how to buy a HUD home? Yes, no. And people can just click no, and then I can start dialoguing with them. That's as far as just like real estate results, that was probably one of my better posts. So those are the kinds of things that you can do. Like you can go in, you can ask questions. Maybe you stage a kitchen or something, and you like there's a lot of things that you can do to make it interactive. And when they interact, it goes directly to you. It's not visible to the public. And so you can start dialoguing with that person, and they kind of know that that's often what happens because they know it's going directly to you. So I think that's what's powerful about stories. And then of course there's just the normal, just in the feed on Instagram, where you can have more of a group commenting. And one thing that I'll say is if you want more interaction, and this is true on all of the platforms, is start by interacting on other people's posts. Just to use Gary Vee as an example, one thing that he talks about, he started out by selling wine. So what he would do is, I don't even know how many hours a day, he'd get on Twitter and whatever, and he'd look for people who are talking about wine and comment on their stuff. And we can do a similar thing for real estate. Search for people that are talking about real estate and comment on their stuff. The other thing that I do on Instagram is IGTV, where it's kind of like the YouTube videos, but shorter. They have gotten a little bit longer, but I try to do like the 3-4 minute kind of range. So it's more video than what your regular Instagram newsfeed would be. And then there's Facebook. I have done a class. That's not what today is. I have done one just on Facebook ads and the logistics of how do you do a paid ad on Facebook. I haven't found that to be super intuitive. I did hire a company to help me with that, and I did learn a lot from them, but it changes constantly. They actually just made another pretty major change. But one thing that I will tell you, and I'll just kind of let you do what I did and get on YouTube and search it, but I want you to be aware of Pixel. And then I'll kind of drop this and go on to other things with Facebook, the things that you can do for free. But I just want to make you aware of Facebook Pixel and Google Pixel. You have to have your own website for this. And if you have it, which even if it's just like a WordPress, something simple, they have code that you can install off of Facebook that allows you to track who's been on your page, on your website, and you can start marketing to them if they're on Facebook also. So by installing this Pixel off of Facebook, they track your traffic. So if somebody, and I'm sure you've experienced this, where you go on to, like Amazon does this a lot, honestly. That's one that definitely has Pixel installed. You go and you look at lamps because you're sick of your old house now that you've been stuck in it for so long, and wouldn't a new lamp be nice? And so you start looking at that, and all of a sudden, everything on the side of your news feed, and you get all these sponsored feeds for these cute little lamps. if you wondered how the world did they do that, now you know, Facebook Pixel. So if you also want to do that, they call it retargeting ads. That's how you do it. So you have to have you have to have an ads manager account. So I just wanted to make you aware. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that, but if you ever have questions, reach out to me. But let me back up. I kind of started with the complicated stuff. Let me back up a little bit. Facebook, you have your personal profile. To even be on there, you need to have one of those. The other thing that I encourage you to have, if you don't already, is a business page. And remember that for RESPA, you do have to say who your broker is when you do this. So instead of just being Julie Gravengood, hopefully, if you guys aren't all friends with me already on Facebook, go ahead and friend me, Julie Rotman Gravengood. But then I have my company page, which is the Julie GR team of Clarity Realty. So you are supposed to have, if it's, Joe Smith, Realtor, it should be Joe Smith Realtor at Clarity Realty. So just to kind of make you aware of the law there, you are supposed to do that. But I do encourage you to have a business page. And the reason for that is it's more, I like to think of it as like permission marketing. If they went and they liked your business page, they expect it to be business stuff. If on your personal page, you're constantly articles about whatever is going on in real estate and pictures of you at the closing table and blah, blah, and that's all it is, that is fatiguing to people. If they're friends with you personally, they kind of expect it in this context to be some of your personal stuff. Now, it's not bad to have business stuff, but I would call it like a 1 to 4 or 5 ratio, like 1 business thing to like 4 personal things, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be intrusively personal. It could be, here's what like if you like to cook, say, here's what I cooked last night. If you like to, like I like to run, so I do a lot of pictures of me finishing a race. So it doesn't mean that everybody knows the ins and outs of my life. They just know that I run, and that's fine for them to know that. So, but they should know things about you besides just that you sell real estate. And if that's all you're ever doing is pushing your services, they're going to mute you or they're going to unfriend you. Unless they're in the market for that. But we want to be in their mind. So what I'll often do is I'll post things on my business page, and then periodically I will share that onto my personal profile. And that way, Rose says she doesn't run, she just walks fast. And that's good too, it's good exercise. But I do things from my business page to my personal page, and then that makes them aware of it. And if they want to go ahead and like my page, and I'll invite people to like my page too, on your business page, they do expect that it's article after article and pictures of your newest listing and those kinds of things. That's where it's appropriate to always be that. So from that perspective, I know I get that question sometime, like, should I have a business page and my personal? And in my mind, absolutely. It's just so that you do have an outlet for saying business, 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 business. Like, that's where you should be. But that doesn't mean you don't do business over on your personal. You just send it over there. Now that you have all these posts that you're putting either on your business page, or maybe you're writing a blog, that kind of thing, there are a lot of things that you can do. One thing that's interesting and unique about Facebook compared to some of the other platforms, and you've probably seen they've been even doing ads for them. is the groups. Here, before I move on, I did just see Missy just asked, I have a lot of people on my personal page, but not a lot on my business, and how do I increase it? There's a lot of different ways to do that. Some of it might be make sure that there's content there that when they go to your business page, that they want to follow it because they feel like they're missing out if they don't. So if you are using your page to just be pictures of yourself at the closing table, that feels good to us because it feels like, hey, we just had a closing and we just got paid. And that's the part we get excited about. Well, and the client's excited too to get their keys. To just Joe Scroller, that's not that compelling. Telling a story about that person and what they had to go through to get to the closing table, those are better pictures, honestly. Sitting at the closing table is the end, but if you have pictures of other things, I'm trying to think of even a great example of that, or articles, or current stats, or what's the interest rates, or blah, blah, blah. Have a lot of good information there so that when they come to your page, there's something for them that's compelling that they want more of. And then share from your business page to your personal page. And there's also like paid ways to do it. You can like boost your personal page. I frankly don't expect to have as many people like my business as they do be friends with me. And I think that that's perfectly fine because not everybody's they don't feel like they even need to be following it if they're not in the market for a house. I don't think of it that way because I want their referrals. So I want to be top of mind no matter what they're doing personally. But they're not thinking of it that way. They're thinking, why do I need to follow a realtor page when I'm not looking for a house? So we need to answer that question. Why do you need to follow my page when you're not looking for a house? And it's because of all the other value that I'm providing. And then invite them. I get people all the time ask me to like their page, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But the other thing that works even better is I had my husband go through and invite his friends to like my page. And even if they were people that were mutual friends, for some reason, it just didn't feel as salesy when he did it rather than me. So I thought that was pretty cool. And even if you have like, a networking group, something like that, where you have that's always pretty cool when you have like a business associate that you can advocate for each other. That's a great reciprocal relationship to have. And ask them to invite people to your page, and you do the same thing for them. I know I try to, even when I go to networking events, I try to team up with somebody, because it's cool if the two of you are sitting there talking, somebody else comes up to you and you can say, this is my carpet person. They have done an amazing job for me. And then they can say, this is my realtor. She's done an amazing job for me. It's so much more powerful than saying, hi, I'm a realtor and I'm really great. Obviously, getting that from somebody else is powerful. And the same thing rings true in a social media setting. Ask people to share your page for you. People are much more likely to, especially if you have a good message of why you want them to. So I don't know, that's probably more than you were even asking for, but Facebook groups, I think, are really an interesting thing going on. I know I'm in way more groups than even I wish I was. Not all of them are very active. Facebook has started to, eliminate some of the groups if they haven't been active for several years. But groups are really cool because how I was just saying that they won't necessarily like your page if they're not in the market for a house right now. They don't find it relevant. But if there are interest groups, like real estate investors, for example, have group, and they're always talking about, oh, this thing came out from the city and this, that. That's a great place. You don't want to fatigue them. You don't want to always be pushing. But if you do have a new listing that's a hot deal, to post it in that group is a great place to do it, because you know that that's where people that are hanging out. Or let's say that you just listed a home that's on a lake. Is there groups for people that love to fish, or those kinds of things, to think about who is the likely buyer of this listing. And I'm just talking about listings. There's a million ways that we could think about this. Like if we get back to that initial message of who's that hero that you're trying to guide, and how everybody has a different problem, and thinking through the different problems. So if we think about the different problems, so maybe you want to be marketing towards people who just had their second kid and want to move up. What Facebook groups are they hanging out on? It's probably not how to buy your second house Facebook group, right? It's probably more mom play group type groups, or I don't know. I guess I'm going to let you think about that. But that is how I like to be thinking, is who do I want to be in front of? Where do those people hang out? So that's really the question that we need to add. The other thing that I think is really powerful, and it helps you to be in people's news feed more often, is people that you are having conversations with on Messenger. Facebook thinks that you're friends with them, and they'll start putting your stuff in their news feed and their stuff in your news feed. So what you might want to do is message people when it's appropriate. Like, for example, on their birthday, you could post on their wall like 200 other people. The other thing that you could do is private message them. They're way more likely to respond. And then you'll kind of get into those algorithms. And there's a lot of things that you can do with Messenger. Once you get into the world of Facebook ads, there's even like little Messenger bots where if somebody says, how much is this, that they can automatically respond. I've been kind of looking into that a little bit. It's not necessarily in the spirit of how I like to do relational business, but it does give them a really quick response. And if that's what they're looking for, it does do that job, so that you can, if you're not there that instant, at least they're getting a response, and you have an opportunity to build a relationship later. The other thing I wanted to touch on, and we're running out of time like we always do, Facebook Live is another thing that I think is really powerful. Facebook rewards in their algorithm behaviors that they want to see. And Facebook Live is something that they want more people using. So what happens is when you do a Facebook Live, you show up in people's news feeds. If you do a Facebook Live, a lot of times people will get notifications. Julie is live right now. That's pretty cool. Now, one thing that I'll mention about Facebook Live is it tends to, like, after you do it, you can see like where people were in the video, like how long they watched it, when they said thumbs up, that kind of thing. So one thing that I've noticed is you have your best eyes, the most amount of eyes on your video at the very beginning. So don't spend that time in the beginning saying, oh man, I never did this before. I hope I can figure this out. You just lost them. They've already clicked off. Start with something high impact. And it is live. People know that. If you make a mistake and kind of stutter a little bit, don't sweat it. It's all good. The important thing is to just try it. And you can do Facebook Live onto your news feed. You can do it into a group. You can do it into an event. Anything really. So just depending on what your message is, you can put it in that right spot, and that's really great. Now, one thing that I did recently is I did a seminar, and I could do advertisements, and I wanted to use it. It worked out really nice because I could get people to come into that group. They had to join the group to watch the seminar because I did it as Facebook Live. And then afterwards, very few people leave groups. I know I have a million of groups and I just don't bother to leave them. So then I have this group that I know is interested in this thing that I did a seminar on, that even if they don't buy that instant, I can continue to post articles and ask questions and put on a poll. And I have this group that I know is interested in my thing. So if any of you have thought about doing first-time home buyer seminar, investment seminar, how to buy lakefront property seminar, any kind of seminar that you can brainstorm about, go after that niche market, have them join your group, do a seminar via Facebook Live. You can record it and have it for later. That's been really effective for me. So that's just something that I'll mention. Now, just to kind of close it up, here's what my goal is when I'm working on social media. I am trying to connect more deeply with people that I know offline by bringing them onto my online world. They'll get to know me and my kids and my hobbies and my everything. Conversely, I want the people that I know just online, I want to get them to know them offline as well. And there's a lot of opportunities for that. I know we have an agent that has a food group, and he does a great job of bringing those online relationships offline. He does these food NAMIs whenever he sells a house. So all of a sudden, these people that he only knows from Facebook come to the restaurant where he's holding an event, and all of a sudden he has relationships with all the people in that room. I think that's really cool. There's a lot of different ways to work that, but that's kind of my goal when I meet somebody online, is I'm trying to figure out how to get them in a relationship offline. And at the same time, people that I know like in person, I just met them once or twice. I friend them on Facebook, and then they get to know me by seeing my posts and that kind of thing, so that then next time I run into them, we have more to talk about. I know a little bit more about them. So it's kind of this two-way strengthening relationships, no matter how you met them. And I do use it for knowing people's birthdays too. Before Facebook, I used to just kind of slyly figure out their birth date from closing. I'd always volunteer to make copies of their licenses, and then I'd make a note of what their birthday is so that I can send them a birthday card. I don't have to do that anymore. If I'm their Facebook friend, has their birthdays on there. So that's pretty cool that I can send them a card. Everybody else says happy birthday on Facebook. You kind of blend into the noise of the other 200 people that are doing that. But you send them a card, you're probably one of 2 people that did that. That really, really stands out. So I did not get into some of the other things that I was hoping to. Email, how to integrate with your own website, that kind of thing. If you do ever want to have like a one-on-one conversation with me and I can help you with your own marketing, I am so, so happy to do that. Please reach out to me. We are going to post some resources on the Clarity Conversations. So please join me there. So we're here at 11 o'clock. So from a Con Ed perspective, you are good. If you need to go, I understand. Molly, you got everybody, right? But I will hang out for a minute if you have any questions. I know I did want to circle back to that peer review. Trying to remember who was asking about that. I don't know much about it. But if you want to unmute yourself and talk a little bit more about that, I'm happy to do that. Oh, it's Kristen. And Bev.
Yeah, after you have a transaction, I always get this form that comes to my email. And it says, would you like to work with this agent again? And then you can say, yeah, it was awesome, and yeah, purereputation.com, that's it. And so that's a lot of fun, I think, because sometimes we don't talk to each other. We usually send a note at the beginning of the transaction, and maybe at the end, I'll text and like, I loved working with you. You were awesome, and you remember each other. I love doing deals with people that are just so easy to work with, and just they have the same mindset of, we're going to get this close, we're going to do the best thing for our clients, and knock it out of the park. And I love that. So that's all. I just had one where I felt like it wasn't as easy working with her. And so that type of thing. It wasn't an interview. She was closer to Lansing. And I just thought I was the listing agent, and she was super snarky to me. She even sent me like a meme that showed me like, where she was rolling her eyes and stuff. And I'm like, oh my word. Like, I'm so sorry. She meant to send that to her client, and she sent it to me instead. And I was just like, yeah, I don't.
What kind of review did you give her?
I didn't. I just said, I'd rather not work with this person. And then it said, would you like to talk to her broker about it? And I said, no. I mean, she just had an attitude. That's all. Some people like an attitude for some reason. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. So Megan says you have to go up on there and set up your free profile, I guess, first, right? So do you go check out people before you do a deal with them then? Or how do you use that? Or you can share it and let people know, hey, I was great to work with? Like, what's the pros and cons of being on there?
Buyers and sellers can look up your reputation.
Okay, well, that's a pro.
Yeah, if somebody's on the fence about working with you, they can look up what kind of reputation you have with other realtors.
Okay, well, I'm going to start doing that. So there you go. I like when I learn from these things.
First group we send it to is everybody here.
Oh, send it to everybody here. Yeah, we know we're all education minded, right? We can at least say that about each other. Oh, I love that. Yeah, let's do it. Rose asked about the pixel thing. That is, you have to be a little bit techie, and I know that you are, Rose. So I'm actually surprised that you aren't teaching the class on how to do the pixel thing. If you have your own website, you put it in the header of your site into the code. So when you go on Facebook and you get into the pixel, you have to create a pixel, and then they give you a code that you can install onto your site. So it is a little bit techy. There is some like plugins, like if you have a WordPress site, they do have plugins for Pixel that makes it a little bit easier. Like I have a WordPress site, so I could put it more directly in, and it populated all of my pages on my website versus having to do it one by one in each header. But that's how you do it. And if you need all of these things, I merely skimmed the surface. I wish I had a ton more time. Go on YouTube, and there is so much on how to do all of this stuff and more. And listen to Gary Vee. He does a lot of social media stuff. I've learned a lot from him. Best company used to set up a Facebook business page. I don't know. I don't know if I would use it. Maybe I'll let somebody else. I don't hire a company to do it. I have hired a company. Like what I was trying to do is recruit brand new agents. And so I was doing career night, and I hired them to help me promote that. Because to me, new agents is an unknown audience. Like I don't know who's thinking about getting their license. So they helped me get in front of those kinds of people, and they filled up the room for me. They did a great job. So I can tell you that was Symposia Labs. and I loved them, but I don't know that that would be the company that you'd hire to just post articles on your Facebook page. One thing that I will say is it's more meaningful if you do some of it yourself. I think people can tell if it's just like a bot that's pre-populating things. But having said that, I think to have a company that's helping you, so you're consistently, twice a week posting articles, but I think you should still supplement it with, I just saw this cool house, or I just had whatever, I ran into this cool thing. People can tell that that's authentic content. So I would mix and mingle the two. Oh, Bev says she has to go. Thanks for joining us, Bev. Molly says, check out Jenna Kutcher's Goal Digger podcast for more info on email marketing, which we didn't even touch on. So I'm going to do that as well. Okay. Well, I think CRS uses InTouch. Oh, is that you're saying that's the company that manages your business page?
Yeah, I just let them post, and then I do my own posts, but at least something is popping in there. That's very helpful. And then it's branded with your name and stuff. It's only like $500 a year. So it's not that expensive, but yet I feel like it's constant. It's something that's there. And then I go out and look at it too, because I want to read it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So.
Yeah, like I said, I think you should supplement it besides just like article posts and stuff, but it's so much better to have that than nothing. I mean, to have that also, I think is great.
Post on Twitter too, and I think they would post on LinkedIn, but that would feel really horrible. So, because you don't want to be that person on LinkedIn, but so they do post for you.
That's cool. Okay. Well, I don't mean to keep you too long. I appreciate so many of you have come to like every week, and I think that's really cool. I can't tell you how good that makes me feel. So I appreciate that. And again, if anybody needs more like one-to-one advice, I'm so happy to do that. I don't even pretend to act like I know everything, but what I do know, I'm happy to share. So, like I said, next week we'll do 1 hour of legal. I hope to see you then. And thanks for joining me.